Welcome to Reliable Analysis. I am Dr. Kumar, going to explain on a relevant topic which is related to our society, human life. The topic is science and society. Science and society. We have to discuss in this video about the role of science in society. How is science developing human life? What are being done with the help of scientific inventions for the betterment of human lifestyle? On the other hand, there are curses of science as well. So, in short, we can say science is a boon as well as a curse. We have to discuss this topic in this video. First of all, I would like to request all of you to subscribe this educational channel. This is my research paper. I myself has prepared this research paper, and I am presenting this research paper before you with the help of this video. Through reliable analysis, this channel Reliable Analysis is completely an educational channel. Different type of educational videos, political analysis, etc. are always presented with the help of this channel. So, I would like to request again to subscribe this educational channel and support it in promoting and achieving my goal to spread online free education to remote areas, to deprived people, to all. So, now I am going to explain the topic science and society. Much of our modern world has been shaped by science. Yet, equally, much of our modern science has been shaped by the requirements and constraints placed upon it by the society in which it is performed. It is this integration which makes fallacious any attempt to describe science as some sort of external agent acting upon a society and thus transforming it. A science which falls upon society like a stone, molding, bending, or crushing it. Science is an aspect of knowledge which could be socially determined. Many people undoubtedly feel this sense of inevitability, both non-scientists and scientists. Nuclear fission and hence the bomb were inevitable. Molecular biology and hence genetic engineering. Information science and hence computers. And artificial intelligence are inevitable. battery chickens are inevitable. Going to the moon and the motor car are inevitable. In the immortal words of Robert Oppenheimer, one of the leading physicists in the US controversy over whether or not to go ahead on the building of the hydrogen bomb. Whatever can be seen by the scientists as technically sweet becomes inevitable to him. It becomes for the rest of society to decide whether to use it or not. All the scientists does it to put the choice in the way. Like Eve's snake, society, in some sense, will decide without vitiating the virginal neutrality of science. But whatever the perceptions of the scientists or the doubts of those within the rest of society who must live with the results of incessant technological innovation and the mixed blessings that they bring with them, science is not an unpredictable act of gods in white coats, nor is it the product of forces of an unspecified progress which are outside our powers to control. Scientific and technological developments dominate public consciousness is something new and characteristic of our contemporary society. Without doubt, individual scientists can be found in history who wielded considerable power and influence in their day. Archimedes, mathematician and inventor, is supposed to have occupied for King Heron of Syracuse a position more or less comparable to what would now be called Director of Defense Research, and in many ways as powerful as that of Lord Cherwell, advisor to Churchill during the 1939-45 Second World War. But although this intrusion of science and technology into affairs of state is not new, its extent certainly is prior to 1964, when a crusading political party promised that the new socialism would be forged in the white heat of the scientific revolution. An election in which a principal political issue was how to harness science and technology to the nation's needs was almost unthinkable. Now it is hard to imagine an election in which it would not be scientific advance is a prerequisite of existence in our contemporary world. The apparent inevitable reach forward of technology ensures a continuous high rate of innovation, of new machines, products, methods at work, in the home, in transport, and at play. New scientific triumphs are part of the regular diet of any newspaper reader. We take a very great deal for granted. We have to, in order to get on with the everyday business of living. Children take even more. They discuss with complacent expertise the latest phase of a moon race, the very mention of which evokes in their elders irresistible echoes of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. However sophisticated and blase they try to be about it, yet although the facts of scientific advance and technological innovation are widely recognized, there has been relatively little systematic attempt to understand why and how such advances occur. The question whether such advances should occur is rarely asked. It is assumed that society will learn to live with the biological revolution, just as it is learning to live with computers and has learned to live with nuclear weapons. But learning to live implies a sort of acclimatization. Acclimatization means getting habituated. A change comes over the environment and society must adapt to it. Learning to live also implies a certain sense of regret. The change brought about by science and technology is indeed both welcomed and resented. We have to discuss different materials and methods which have been used in this research paper. The contents have been taken from relevant books and articles, from journals and websites. The method used is analytical and descriptive, and no practical or empirical work has been done. We have to discuss results and discussion. After the Second World War, a small technical elite arose in developing countries such as India, Pakistan, Brazil, and Iraq, who had been educated as scientists in the industrialized world. They thought that by pushing for Manhattan Project type enterprises in nuclear energy, electronics, pharmaceuticals, or space research, they could leapfrog the dismally low level of development of their countries. India, for example, started a nuclear energy program that mobilized thousands of technicians and cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but failed to meet power demands. Scientists and political leaders in many developing countries failed to understand that development does not necessarily coincide with the possession of nuclear weapons or the capability to launch satellites. Rather, it requires modern agriculture, industrial systems, and education. Many technical elites believe that a spin off from their nuclear energy or space programs would somehow convert their countries to 20th century industrialized states. Instead, there were heavy economic and political costs. In India, for example, such programs led to the development of nuclear weapons, which only encouraged Pakistan to do the same. While many basic human needs such as health and education were not given the support needed. In this way, developing countries should not follow the research model that led to the scientific enterprise of the United States and elsewhere. Rather, they should develop technologies appropriate to their local circumstances, help strengthen education. Science should play the role of advisors in both government and industry. Developing countries should prevent the brain drain. For this, developing countries should provide financial support to scientists. In Brazil, the use of ethanol, as fuel is one example of how this approach can work. By encouraging the wide use of ethanol produced from sugarcane, a traditional crop in the country, as fuel to replace gasoline. The government of Brazil was able to replace half of the gasoline used by automobiles in the country. About 2 lakh barrels of ethanol per day with a renewable energy source. In doing so, Brazil became a pioneer in an area that had been neglected by industrialized countries. The entire technology from the agricultural to the industrial phase was developed or improved upon by local scientists and technologists. Brazilian scientists first had to convince the government that this approach was technically feasible, even though it had been ignored in industrialized countries. Other developing countries also followed the same path. India is remarkable in this regard, where 10% ethanol produced from sugarcane is being mixed with petrol. In general, the misconceptions held by the technical elite are derived from an idea cherished by many in the developing world that pure research leads to technological development and then to products that open new markets or conquer existing ones. This cradle to grave approach to science and development served as the blueprint for the establishment of the National Science Foundation in the United States and was widely copied throughout the world. But that model fails to stress the interaction that should occur among the phases. As one moves from pure research to technological development and then to production and marketing, unanticipated problems arise that require re-examination and adaptation at the earlier stages. In developing countries, government goals and the demand side pull are often lacking. As a result, uh, universities and research centers have become isolated from the rest of the country in an ivory tower, more connected to research centers in Europe or the United States than to the obvious needs of industry, agriculture, and education in their own countries. Science and technology budgets receive little support from the private sector and instead depend on the national treasury. Heavy government bureaucracies wind up cultivating whatever science and technology is fashionable in the developed countries, waiting indefinitely for the time when such competence would trigger development in a manner that resembles the wait for Godot in Beckett's play. After all, many outstanding scientists born and educated in developing countries have contributed significantly to the advancement of science. Talent exists anywhere. They can do many things to help their countrymen in solving the problems of development. They can help adopt technology to local circumstances. Even when technologies are imported from abroad, research is necessary to make them work. Rather than insisting on developing indigenous technologies, when abundant and well-proven technologies exist, scientists can help choose the right ones given the local environment and available raw materials and learn how to use them. New science should be incorporated and education development requires a well-trained workforce. Therefore, requires a well-trained workforce and high quality education must be put in place early in development. From the above mentioned facts, it is clear that the transition of a country from developing to developed is a complex process that requires facing up to the established interest in society. The impetus for this has to come not only from scientists but from other sectors of society as well. In a world where globalization and competitiveness are the rule, progress requires that developing countries find areas in which they are significantly better than their competitors because of a better trained workforce, favorable natural resources, or scientific and technological capabilities. Science and scientists can play an important role in determining those choices and implementing development strategies. In this research paper, I have taken the support of J. Goldenberg, L.C. Monaco, I.C. Monseed in renewable energy sources for fuels and electricity. TV Johnson, H. Kelly, A.K.N. Reddy, R.H. William Yates, Island, Washington, D.C., 1993. And other books written by great writers. B. Bush, Science, The Endless Frontier, U.S. Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C., 1945. H. Brooks, What We Know and Do Not Know About Technology Transfer, Lacking Knowledge to Action in Marshalling Technology for Development, from a symposium held in Irvine, California, 28 to 30 November 1994. National Academy Press, Washington, D.C., 1995. J.J. Salmon, in Strategies for National Support of Basic Research and International Comparison Proceedings of a Conference sponsored by the Israel Academy of Sciences and Humanities, Jerusalem, 23-26 November 1994. Israel Academy of Science and Humanities, Jerusalem, 1995. So these were books and writers through which I have got valuable support for this research paper. I would like to thank them, and once again I would like to request all of you, my dear friends, to please subscribe this educational channel. And if you think analysis is fundamental and analysis is useful, explanation is proper, then please like and share the video. Thank you.